Okay, what's up? Welcome back to a new episode of Blue Couch Diaries, and I have a guest with me today, and his name is Ben. Introduce yourself.
What's going on, you guys? My name is Benjamin McCurtis, photographer, videographer, local Detroiter, lover of the Lord Jesus Christ, who is a lover of my soul, and good friend of Kay.
Yes. And tell them how we met. Like, we kind of met it was was it like a house?
Like
it was a house party.
It
was a house party.
party.
It was a mutual friend,
Yeah.
and like he was taking pictures, and that sparked the conversation of I'm a photographer too. Yeah. So that's where we met, and then we just kept seeing each other like periodically.
Yeah, like just randomly, like throughout, because the creative network in Detroit is like, while it's vast, it's really small. Like, you'll literally find somebody somewhere. So,
exactly. Yeah. Like, this place is so small, you'll literally keep running to the same people. Where it's like, okay, so what's up? Like, we want to be friends. Like, what's up? So, literally. So today's episode is when God says go, and Ben and I, we are just in that entrepreneurship journey. Right. Where we can relate on a lot of stuff. Like, even when he called me and told me, like, it's time, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how do you feel? So, and I just kind of, related to that, my story, like my testimony of God when God told me to put in my 2 weeks when I was working at this janitor job at a school. So it was like, what was the process? Like, when God told you to go, like, how did you feel? Like, how did you go about it?
I was very nervous. That's the first thing I'll say. Because it's like, you pray about stuff, and especially when it's something that's like risky, like leaving security is always going to be a risk. When you're talking about leaving a 9 to 5, that's consistent income, like that's always kind of like, okay, well, if things don't work out, then what?
Right.
But when you're praying about things like that, about leaving your job and about pursuing the passions that God's put on the inside of you, and the Lord confirms like your go ahead and do it. For me, it was like, okay, I probably misheard. Like, my immediate first reaction was like, that wasn't God. That was probably just my own thoughts. Because, you surrounded by, you got, your thoughts and God's word and the enemy. So you got this whole war.
All these voices in one.
Literally, just going at it all at once. You're just like, I can't decipher between all the three. Mm-hmm. But, the Lord had encountered me one day when I was just in prayer. When I was ministering on the keys, I just pray and play. And then I had like open vision, literally just open vision. And the Lord showed me on a path, and the path was like covered in brick. And ahead of me was like a thick fog. And I couldn't see beyond the fog. But then I heard the audible voice of the Lord, and the Lord said, you've called it a leap of faith. My word says it's a walk of faith.
Ooh.
And so I was like, dude, because it's so funny how like society will say, take the leap of faith. But the leap is something that society and the world came up with in tandem to what the word says about a walk of faith.
Right.
But it's far safer, though. There's far more security in the walk of faith than there is the leap of faith. Because you don't know where your feet are going to land.
Exactly.
But at least when you're walking, you're on solid ground.
Exactly. Ooh, come on, yes. So, you're on solid ground.
Yeah. So that's really the beginning parts of like my testimony, just leaving my full-time job to pursue photography and videography full time. And God hasn't failed me. That was the biggest thing I had to really come to the revelation of, is like, God didn't design us to fail.
Right.
Like we're going to perish, but we're not going to fail.
Right.
If you're really operating on inside the will of God, like for what it is, the plans that he has for you, then you won't fail. There are going to be setbacks, this, that, and the third, but like you'll never fail. Failure is what happens when you don't pursue your passion.
Exactly. When you don't do nothing about it. And that's the thing, like, when they say like, faith without works is dead. So it's like, a lot of times I even have to be reminded of that, because sometimes I get stuck in these like little funky moods where it's just like, what am I going to do? Like, even just these past couple of weeks, like, you can't expect something to happen if you're not moving your feet. And that's honestly what I just went through today. Quick testimony. So a couple weeks ago, I had something with my bank that they were closing my account because of a check error. I filled out a check. Yep, I filled out a check to pay my rent because I couldn't transfer it to my main account. So, NetSpend had, a couple checks that I could use. So I filled it out, but I did not fill out the authorization number.
Oh.
Yeah. Yikes. So I had the account number, but I didn't have the authorization. So mind you, I'm going to all these banks to try to cash it in, not really thinking I can just do it from the app. So I'm wasting gas. But the lady, she was like, you can just do it on the app. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I did it, and it went through, and it came back the next day, and I'm like, what happened? So I call Huntington, they telling me, oh, it was a check or error on your check, and it's just under investigation. So I'm calling different people. I even go up to the branch like, hey, this happened. And they even told me, call the number that's on the check and put the authorization number down and rescan it. Not telling me that there could be a chance of it going through a process of possibly closing my account. So, I'm waiting. And mind you, this caused a lot of backfire because all my bills that I paid, it came back. My rent, my phone bill, all of that. So I was like, okay. I started panicking because I'm like, yo, like, rent is not
no, bro. You can't miss that no matter what happens.
Rent is not, so I was just kind of going through like a roller coaster of emotions. Like, I'm 1 minute I'm praising God, the next minute anxiety creep up, and like, but the Lord is so good because like he just kept sending me encouragement. Like even people I haven't spoke to in a long time, like, it'll be periodically, but they'll send me like, hey, just want to let you know to keep going, you stay encouraged. I'm like, you don't know how much I needed that right now. And like even in yesterday's message, like my pastor was preaching Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And the main emphasis that he said was verse 4, that yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. So like it's like I kept hearing that scripture. So even today, I went up to the bank. I talked to my grandma prior. She was like, you actually need to go up there so they can, see the face with the account and see what they can do. Yeah. So, because I was always just on the phone. I ain't like going up there.
Yeah.
But long story short, I tell the lady what happened. And she was telling me how much I had in my account and how one of them was still active, but the other ones were closed. And I'm like, so, okay. In my mind, I'm like, it sounds like favor about to happen right now.
Yeah, something about to kick in. God about to show up. Watch this.
Right. Hold on. So I'm like, okay. So then she ended up telling me like the money that they owe you, they're gonna end up sending that in a check. And I was like, okay, all right. So all the money that y'all owe me before y'all close my stuff,
right. Bring that right back. Run that back.
And then I had to call my NetSpend, the one I wrote the check from. They said it was a guarantee that they're gonna repost the amount that I took out to write on a check, and it was a guarantee for business days. So all of that to say, it's like I was in a point where I was just so stagnant. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't moving my feet. I was just hoping something would fall from the sky, like like a check of $3,000 somewhere. But I had to walk, and one thing my pastor said is like when you walk through the valley, you're the one that walked into it in the first place.
That's true.
I walked into writing that check, it coming back as an error, and going through all this process, but walking through that darkness, and God is with me. He never left me. That was like a pure example of, it was like a ding, like, wow. Like all I had to do is just walk into that bank.
That's great. And what's funny is like even just talking about like Psalms 23, the next part that happens after that is he makes me lie down in green pastures.
Yes.
And then it's like, at that point, it's like, okay, things are good now.
Yeah.
That green pastures one, that one always lived with me. He makes me lie down in green pastures. I love that one.
Yeah.
Because even still, like even as that pertains to like just the topic what we're talking about, it's like there are definitely times where you have to move, and there's a time where you just gotta like be still.
Yeah.
And just relax and just know. Like, God's got this under control.
Yeah.
Like, that was obviously a situation in which, like, you couldn't just sit there.
No.
You can't talk on the phone all day with these people. I tell you one thing, man. I'm the type of person, like, if it's 40 miles away from me and I'll show my face before something, like, if it goes wrong, I can prevent it. I'm gonna make sure it's preventable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because literally, just back to the words, like, it's just, faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
You literally had to move. How much you trust me? Okay, cool. I need you to go.
And like, literally every time you move, then the next instruction comes. Like,
yes,
when I moved, and like, it was another lady that came around and she asked her, hey, what does this mean? It says that her account is active, but these two are closed. So the lady telling me, you need to call NetSpend, let them know what happened so they can, give you your money back or whatever. So that was the next step. So it's like,
right.
God, you can't expect God to give you all the answers, right? Like, in one sitting.
Not immediately.
Exactly. Right. Because you're going to procrastinate on it.
Absolutely.
And you're going to, like, be fearful because you don't really know, like, what the outcome would be. It's already, like, scary not knowing anyway, like, whether he tell you the whole paragraph or not. But it's like, he goes by steps. And when you walk in obedience, then that's
the biggest one.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing, man. When it comes down to just this whole thing, like what we went through, where it was like we prayed, the Lord said go, and then we went. The whole thing was in our obedience. This is something that I had talked about recently on a just kind of my own little podcast. I recorded a video. I haven't posted it yet, but I want to. I posted a couple of clips on Instagram though.
Okay.
But one of the things that the Lord was dealing with me about was how, like, your disobedience is directly linked to something or someone in this world, and so therefore it's like, if there's people out there who are listening to this or listening to anyone else, and the Lord has confirmed for you, you can leave your job and I'll take care of you.
Yeah.
All you have to do is go. Your disobedience is literally holding back the blessing that you've been praying about.
That is, yeah.
So you're talking about, I want to be a multimillionaire. This is something else I talked about in the videos. Like, people talk about, I want to be a millionaire in 10 years. All right, bro, you ain't did nothing.
Right.
Though.
Yeah, I did see that video.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, so what you doing about it?
Literally, like, so what are you doing? What are the steps that you're taking in an effort to actually achieve that?
Yeah.
Right? Like, nothing happens unless you move on it.
Exactly.
Like with the whole thing where, like, Saul, but Samuel, the prophet Samuel was talking to Saul, the first king of Israel, where he told him that obedience was better than sacrifice. Yeah. And so therefore, in that day, in that age, right, where you're sacrificing for the sake of, like, sacrificing lamb, bullocks, right, for the penance of sin, even God was like, obedience is better.
Right.
Your ability to sit there and listen to me, and when I tell you to do something and you do it, is far better to me. It's far better to God than you go to church. You show up for Bible study on Wednesday night. You go to worship night on Friday instead of going out to the club with your friends, whatever. All that means nothing, bro. Where's your heart?
Yeah, look, that heart posture has to be checked every day, bro.
Constantly.
Every day.
Constantly. Because if you're really, honestly, you can allow your heart to just kind of run away with itself easily. Jesus says the issues of life flow out of your heart.
Yep.
So what issues are you dealing with? Are you dealing with a disobedience issue? Okay, well, then that sounds... what's even funnier, to, like, just really quickly to touch back on what Samuel had told Saul, was like, he said disobedience is as if it was like witchcraft.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
It's like, you might as well just be doing witchcraft in your disobedience. When the Lord is telling you to do something, bro, you might as well just be practicing astrology.
Right. Or
witchcraft, or spell binding.
Because you're idolizing it.
Absolutely. You basically saying to God that I am God.
Right. Exactly.
I don't got to listen to you.
Look, and that's like a major heart check there, because it's like a lot of times we think we know the way, but 10 times out of 10, every time we go our own way, it just never works.
Exactly.
Like I can even, like, my testimony of when I first quit my job, but it was out of my own doing. I didn't listen to God.
I was there.
Yep.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I was that person too. I did the exact same thing.
Because it's like, it was a lot of things that it was too good to be true. At the time I was about to work at a photography studio, and before the contracts was even signed, they terminated it. So, I didn't quit my job, and it wasn't nothing but $12 an hour. Working 2 to 4 hours, like that was not gonna pay bills.
No.
So I'm like, I quit my job. Where was I working at? I think I was working at where was I working at the time? I think School Pictures. Yep, schoolpictures.com. And first of all, I had to quit there anyway because at the time I was leasing my car, so I couldn't put a lot of miles on it. I was traveling throughout Michigan to go to these different schools, so I couldn't. Yeah, but now I'm financing it, so I can run however many miles I want. But anyways, I quit my job, and it just led me to keep digging into my savings. Like, I had my 401k from like, my previous job, so it accumulated, up to maybe it was like over $1,000. So like I was able to pay my bills, but at the same time, it was running low very quickly because of how much of it that I had to take out. So during that time, like, God had to really show me that he was in control of it all. So like by the next time I got another job, which was my last job as a janitor, that's where God told me to stay there until he told me to go. And my plan was 3 months tops, because it was just like something like I feel like I've always known that I wasn't going to work for somebody for so long.
Facts.
So like I had the heart of an entrepreneur where I wanted to do things on my own terms, create my own schedule, do what I want to do, but like, not do it in such a chaotic way where, I'm trying to look down on people or whatever. Like I wanted to do it very humbly. Like I wanted to have a story, but it's like God is writing my story. Like he 100%. Knows my whole life. So it's like I can't try to switch up or add or take away from what he's trying to do. So when he gave me the green light, like you said, it was a lot of voices. It was like, but it was so loud. When I tell you, it was like, put in your 2 weeks, put in your 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay, hold on.
We're moving too fast.
Right, we're moving too fast because I know that I want to quit. But the fact that this is really loud, and a lot of other confirmations was on videos, like on TikToks, it was just be like the same message of, and in particular, I don't know if you know this comedian named Pretty V, the light-skinned girl with B. Simone.
Didn't she used to do the podcast with her too? Or?
No, I don't think they did a podcast together. I think she appeared on it, but
okay.
But yeah, so it was a video from Pretty V, and an example she said on her video was, God is trying to move you, but because you're too scared, he's going to use somebody else to fulfill that job. And that reminded me of Esther. Either way, God's glory is going to be met. So it's like, even if she didn't do it,
someone else was going to step up.
But it would just cost you something. Like,
absolutely.
So I took the initiative, like, okay, God, I hear you. This is a lot of confirmation going on. So by the time, I was very nervous calling my boss, like, hey, I'm going to put in my 2 weeks. I was shaking on the phone. And he's like, trying to give me other opportunities. Like, well, there's a substitute job that you can do. I'm like, no.
I'm trying to be gone.
Okay. So, that whole experience, like, I was living with my mom at the time. So, like, I didn't have the bills I have now. And, but like during that whole time period, God has shown me time after time each month that he was providing for me. He provided me the clients that I needed. Even when I hit not technically a rock bottom moment, but it was where I was feeling like I wanted to give up, because it was, it was getting hard, so, but that's where God, right? If it's like an illustration that I see on Instagram where you're falling and you're like, God help me, God help me. And it's like, you expect God to catch you at the moment that you call on him, but he's like down here holding his hand up, but catching you when you feel like you about to fall flat on your face. So I had a moment like that where he used somebody to help me with my business, get my LLC, my EIN, get my PO box, so I have a business address, and it just kind of paved the way to building up to where God needed me to be. So by the time everything kind of like went its way, where things were being taken away,
right,
I was secure. Like he was good. Like, come on, God. Yeah. Like, what?
He is faithful.
Very.
Above everything else, man. Above everything. And that's the thing too, I think that something that me and a few people have talked about recently, where it's like understanding the character of God will always keep you looking for him. Mm-hmm. You know, like no matter what it is you've done or whatever you're going through, like you just continue to seek his face, and he will be faithful enough to be there when you go looking for him.
Yeah.
You know, but if you don't really have an understanding of the character of God, then you kind of like begin to like question who he is, his ways, what is he about? You know, all you have is just this built up anxiety about who God is, and God is just like, I've revealed myself to you in many ways,
times,
but you have no idea. Like, but you just carried on through life in such a way that you haven't really realized. Like, I was there. Right. But at the end of the day, it's like you kind of look back in your life and you're like, man, God really came through for me on this. Mm-hmm. God really came through for me on that. And that's really what motivated me to leave my job. I was like, God's been faithful to me ever since.
Yes.
Why the heck is he going to stop now?
Okay.
I literally would look at other people who are doing what it is that I'm doing. And in the same walk, we all share in the same Holy Ghost. So therefore, I was like, if them, why not me?
Yes.
I was like, why would the first thing I thought about was like, why would God stop at me?
Exactly.
So I was like, it was a no-brainer for me after that. I was like, of course I can leave this job, and God's going to be faithful to take care of me and supply me with the things that I need, and supply me with ideas and knowledge and things like that, and resources and people,
right,
you know, to help me, you know, navigate this whole business field, because I can't do this alone. Right. You know, I was like, if God was just comfortable with one man being on this earth, he would have never made Eve.
Okay.
We need each other. So therefore, it's like you need that community of people, and God will send you that community of people, you know, but it's also a matter of you can't get that community unless you leave your house.
Right. Okay.
Hate to
Don't
say
stay in the house, y'all. Literally. As much as I'm a homebody, I need to show my face in places and get that opportunity. But like one thing I wanted to add too, like, you never know what God could be saving you from. Yes. That he's telling you to go.
That's
true.
Know? That is very true.
Because like I want to say after I quit, like a few months later, I was hearing, because I'm still cool with a couple teachers that work there, and you know, even one of them is in my women's group. So she even told me, like, you know, one of the people that I work with, like, she got fired, and you know, my ex-boss was just like running around, because even prior to that, like, it was a man there. He was so sweet. I can't remember his name. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But he was so sweet, and he was working so much that, you know, and the boss, he was just like very inconsiderate of his, you know, work ethic. Like, he just ran him around. So he was a very nice man. And one day, I think either his ankle broke or his no, it was his ankle that was sprained. Oh. And that caused a lot of adjustment because he was so dependent on him that he started like, you know, asking me and my other coworker, like, hey, can you run to this school? And I said no, because you're not about to run me like that. Absolutely I'm sorry. Not. I'm sorry. I can't help you there. And you know, I would do above and beyond sometimes, like, you know, I'll even help out my other coworkers so she doesn't have to do as much work, and, you know, vice versa. But she was like also a gossiper a lot. So I couldn't tell her a lot of
can't stand the gossip.
Yeah. So, you know, it was like, if you're telling me this, then you probably telling somebody my business.
100%.
So yeah, but no, like a lot of things had transpired after I left, and I'm like, whoa. That's crazy.
That's facts. Same thing with my job too, man. Like, so much crap just went down. People started leaving left and right. It was funny. Like, I was the catalyst for a lot of other people to leave that job too. Wow. That's something too. That's a message in and of itself too. You never know what might happen in your leaving. You might just motivate somebody else to leave their job. Because all I was doing the last month I was there was telling people what I'm about to do. Here's the plan, what I'm going to do. And I ain't coming back. Yeah. And as soon as I left, like 4 other people left.
Wow.
You know, some people. I quit too. Like, if he can't, why not me? You know, started businesses and everything. And they hit me up and said, bro, man, like, I left. And I was like, cool. What are you going to do now? He was like, I don't know, but.
Hey, look.
But we're free. But again, there's a whole message in and of itself. You never know who might get free and you're leaving. It's really like, man, the whole message that the Lord has given me. I swear I could preach it all the way to my dying day. Is that it's bigger than you.
Yeah.
The whole plan that God has for your life is bigger than just you. This is why even earlier to my earlier point where it was like your disobedience is directly linked to someone or something in this world.
Right.
Imagine like all the inventions. One of the things that a great teacher who's passed on and go home to glory, his name was Miles Monroe. I was meaning to send him to you too this week, and I should have, but that's okay. I got you. But Miles Monroe, one of the things that he said, you want to know the richest place on the planet is the graveyard. The richest place on the planet is the graveyard. Because how many people do you think died with great ideas?
Wow.
Revolutionary ideas. Cancer, the cure for cancer probably is dead, lying in the grave right now.
That's crazy.
That ain't to say that God can't pass that idea on to somebody else, but it was on someone else's destiny to make sure that thing made it out into this world. So to that point, it's like, what's the destiny in the call that's on your life that in your disobedience and in your, being scared and afraid of what people are going to think and what they're going to say and this, that, and the third, what's that thing that God put on your life that if it got out into the world, it would catch fire? But because you're too afraid to leave your job because it's comfortable and you get a nice 401k and you're about 2 or 3 years out from your pension fund.
Yeah.
All these other excuses that you keep giving, but the Lord's already given you the go, right? All the ideas that the Lord has given people. I mean, I'm telling you, man, when he told me when I heard that was the motivation I needed to leave. That and another thing that I heard too was there was a researcher and he was going to hospitals and he would ask people who were dying, like, what's something that they regret in life? And the number one answer was, I wish I had pursued my passion.
Wow.
Literally, people dying. They ain't got more than a couple hours, couple days left. But their biggest regret wasn't that they didn't talk to old girl. It wasn't that they didn't go to the parties. It was that they never pursued their passion. And so therefore, like, for me, I was like, I'm not the type of person that I'm going to die. And just because I was afraid of people's opinions. Yeah. I was afraid of being uncomfortable. I was afraid of failure. I was just terrified. I've never been that type of person, really. I've been anxious. I've been worried, but I've never been afraid.
Yeah.
And so therefore it was like, man, worst comes to worst, I just go back to that job. Right. But I did everything I can and I'm still doing to make sure I never go back to that job. And so it's just like, I wish the people of God and I just wish the people of this world, regardless, would just get an understanding of whatever it is that the Lord has put on the inside of you. It is literally to benefit other people, not just you. Yeah. Right? Like this whole businesses that we're in with photography and for me personally, photography and videography is bigger than just me. I do this business because I want to eventually bring on other shooters and get them paid, so that way it might motivate them to start their own business. Right. And it's just a domino effect. I'm not so selfish to the point where it's just like, this is all about me, how much money I can make by the time I die. I never really cared that much about money. Money has always come.
Yeah, money come and go.
Literally. And that's the biggest thing about, being in business is if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, you won't be in business for very long. Oh, yeah. Like if you just in it for money, you ain't going to be in business for very long because money come and money going to go. And you're going to be very sad when it go. Oh, yeah. And you can't take it with you. Jesus said, store up treasures in heaven. So
we got whole mansions in heaven, y'all.
Absolutely. And it's just like all of this, it means absolutely nothing, man. The one thing I was reading was Ecclesiastes recently. And this is Solomon's time where he's like, I'm old and I've seen a lot of life. And it's so funny how he opens Ecclesiastes.
He said everything is pointless.
Literally, immediately, vanity of vanities. And I'm just like, dang, okay, read on, I guess. Right vanity on. Of vanity of vanities. All this is vanity, so getting the best this, getting the best that, having the best wife, having the best husband, vanity. All that is vanity. It means absolutely nothing because at the end of the day, it's all just a vapor. Yeah. What does a man have that he can take with him? That's what you need to be worried about. What can I take with me? Right. This is why Jesus said, like, honestly, I didn't realize the comparison and contrast until I just talked about it. if you just continuously try to store up as much treasure as you possibly can here while you're on Earth, you can't take it with you.
Right.
You know, you can't. I'm all about building generational wealth because I understand and I'm not going to be here forever, you know, but at the end of the day, though, I'm doing everything I can for the kingdom.
Yes.
Not just for me, not just for my family to come or my immediate family. Like, this is for the kingdom. Base whatever it is you're doing based on kingdom. Let the kingdom back you up. You will not fail. It's guaranteed. God's promise is on that.
Yeah, okay. Come on, man. Like, yeah. God is good.
Very.
God is so faithful. And like, even like another example, which is walking by faith and like just going when God tells you to move. Like, just my apartment testimony. Like, that's one of the things that I treasure God doing in my life, because it's like, you know, he knew my circumstance, like, you know, but it was the way, like, God is so strategic when it comes to stuff, because it's like, you know, I started to get an idea of what God was doing.
Facts.
Cause I'm like,
100%.
okay, like I ended up picking up a seasonal job like the end of last year, 2023. And, you know, my pride didn't want to, because I'm like, I quit my job for a reason, like, you know, or like, God, you told me to quit my job for a reason. So what am I doing back here? But it wasn't a like a regular job. It was, you know, a business owner. She needed somebody to work her retail store during the holidays, and it was 1099. So like, I was getting the whole check.
Okay, yeah, no tax break.
No tax. Cool. You know, of course I had to pay it back.
Yeah, well, you know.
But I had my whole check, and I was, you know, it was very dry. Like, during the winter times, you know, as a photographer, videographer, those are very slow seasons. So, but like, God was able to place me somewhere where he could sustain me and paying my bills. And, you know, I even tried to save, but that was even hard, because it was like everything was going in there. And then plus I had to pay $5 every day for parking. You know, so it was just a lot of factors that prevented me from actually trying to save money, because I was trying to save for an apartment. So, you know, once the job was over, I was off of social media for a while, but like prior to that, I kept getting the same confirmation that God is telling you to move. God is telling you to move. And I'm like, and God speaks in different ways, y'all. Like, he can send somebody physically. He can, you know, have your whole timeline the same message. Even if you go to church, the pastor preached the message that he's trying to get across to his people. Like, it was just back to back to back. So I'm like, okay, God, you want me to look for an apartment, but look at my finances right now. What do you want me to do with that?
Like, I'm working with sticks and berries right now. I'm just letting you know, things aren't looking too good.
It's looking pretty steep,
but then you remember Jesus multiplied the fish in the bread. Okay, so it's like,
stop playing with him. Like, he multiplied. They literally said, Jesus, we don't have enough for these people.
Nope.
He said, give it here. He blessed the bread and the fish, distribute out to thousands of people, and still had leftovers. He said 7 baskets full. Yes. So I was like, okay. So one thing that stirred up my faith was I was already looking at apartments on apartments.com, and I was just saving the ones that I liked. You know, I was looking at the price. I'm like, that's a little much, but God, you gonna make a way.
Facts, right. You gonna figure this one out.
Right.
This is God's problem.
Okay. So he said he was gonna sustain me, so sustain me, Lord. Like, so that's when, you know, he told me to stop looking online and actually go out. And I'm like, God, I don't want to waste these people's time. But I did it anyway. I was looking at it was some apartments down the street, actually, from where I live, that I already toured, but they were very expensive for no reason, honestly. But I knew I wanted to live in this area. So it was so funny how when I looked at this apartment online, it didn't show exactly where it was. So when I pulled up around the corner, I'm like, this looked familiar. Like, so, you know, this was one of the newer apartments. So like, okay, I go and tour. First first I was looking for a 2-bedroom because I felt like I wanted a 2-bedroom for a studio or whatever. But I was also okay with a 1-bedroom as well, because I'm like, okay, if it's enough room for me to have all my stuff, then I'm okay with that. You feel me? So the 2-bedroom I wasn't approved because of my business income and the check stubs that I had from my seasonal job. So I'm like, dang, I felt defeated in that moment because I'm like, dang, God, like I really want this. But then it just really dawned on me, like, this is like a want. Like, what do God need? Like, what does He want me to, have that He, you feel me? So I the whole process, I came back and toured the 1-bedrooms. The first unit she showed me, I said, nope, this is not it. And I was like, God, please, like, come on now. And then she showed me the one I'm in now, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so nice. This is it. This is it. So, I went through the whole process, and boom, I'm here. But, it reminds me of that story, and I think it was either in First or Second Kings, when, was it Elijah? Where he told Elijah to go to this land, and he said, when you go there, it'll be a lady that will provide for you there. So when I came here, next day, my mentor, she was like, I was trying not to call you in the middle of the night, but God told me to give you my couch and my TV and my TV or my dining set. And I was like, I broke down. I broke down crying because I was, you do all these steps, but then you kind of feel unsure if you did the right thing or not, because it's such a scary move. Like, this is an apartment. Like, I got to pay rent now.
Absolutely.
And when she told me that, everything just kind of fell into that confirmation of God did tell me to move. So everything in my house right now is God's provision. I did not spend not one dime on no furniture, my bed, like everything. The only thing I spent money on was this projector.
Thank you.
And probably like so I got some things for my bathroom. But like, nothing over $100. Like, God is so good. When God tells you to go, He has His provision is already set. Like, He got you
100%. He goes before you, He's beside you, and He's behind you.
Okay. all
He's
areas.
all around you. He will not forsake anyone. That, I mean, honestly, it's funny. I will say this too openly, like, your testimony literally motivated me and Samaya, my fiance, to like go look for a house.
Wow.
But we ain't like scared of like the prices or nothing. We're just like, man, Lord, you gonna come through somehow.
Yeah.
I'm just like, we're supposed to get we just put in an application recently. We're supposed to hear back tonight whether or not we qualify. So hopefully all things will, but the biggest thing that I pray was like, Lord, this is in your will.
Yeah.
We want to live here, but what's in your will for us? That's my biggest place. I try not to get so married to the idea of a house or whatever. Right. The biggest thing that I'm like attached to is this something that God wants me to, pursue? Is this where He wants me to reside for a time, however long, whatever.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I do not want to do anything that God did not call me to do.
That's the worst thing you want to
do. You will end up having to crawl your way out of there some way, somehow,
with ripped up clothes,
literally
looking beat up.
Like, dang, could have sworn I heard God on this one. Nah, brother, that was just your own desires, man. That was desire. God said He'll give you the desires of your heart, but people don't know that actually also means that He'll give you into the desires of your heart. So take that for what it is. Like, you got the wrong desires and you're pursuing the wrong desires. God will allow you to pursue that. So don't blame God. God, why didn't you let me?
You did that.
You did that. I said, God said, I'll give you the desires of your heart. I'm going to let you have that. When you're ready,
let me know.
Because till then, I'm hands off, man. I love you, but I love you enough to allow you to mess up, and to figure it out on your own, because that's what you wanted to do. Right. And that's not a place that I want to be. Not anymore. That's a horrible place. It really, really is.
Been there, done that.
Literally.
I learned my lesson.
Once you've done it enough times, it's like, why would I even continue doing it anymore? it's just foolishness at that point.
Because I really consult with God with everything first.
Absolutely.
Like some things I'll be like, I know I'm not supposed to be doing it. I'm gonna see for myself.
I'm gonna go see for myself.
But then, like, you know, it's. I feel like I've gotten better with that though, because I've definitely learned my lesson. Like from my first apartment, when I quit my job, actually, I quit my job twice out of my own will.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang.
The first time was I was in my first apartment, and this was like the very beginning of my photography career. I was still learning. I did not know the ropes, but that time I was strictly doing video. So I was dabbling into photography to get to know what it was. But I felt that I was ready for clients and, get all my stuff when I didn't even have like a niche yet.
Oh, really? Yeah. Wow. Jeez.
So it caused me my money to be funny. And I could not afford living in my apartment no more. So I had to move back home with my mom, which I was very upset about, because I'm like, dang, because I let my emotions, take over. Like I was working at Amazon at the time in the warehouse, and I was working there for a minute. I worked there for like 9 months, but one of the bosses was just such a butthole. Like I just let him get to me, and I quit because of him. Like I quit because, and it like that's how the enemy works too. Like he uses somebody to push you to the limit of going your own route, where it's like you can push past that. You don't even have to talk to this man to and even itself, like the job was draining in a way, but at the same time it was still paying my bills. Like
Facts.
The job was easy. The job was very easy. Like it was just like, no excuses. But anyways, it put me in a very challenging position. I was switching jobs. I had to wait till my pay period came, and and I just was quitting job after job because I'm like, nope, I don't want to do this. So I was being very stubborn, very hard-headed. And it got to the point where God had to show me I'm in control. I get to tell you when you get to go, not you. So sit down somewhere.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And that's what the word says: seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, and all of these things will be added to you.
That's it.
If you don't listen, there is nothing wrong with counsel, especially counseling your father. Like I talk to my earthly father all the time before I just kind of jump on stuff, that are taught to my brothers or are taught to my fiance. You gotta have somebody in your ear. Yeah, you really do. And especially godly counsel. I'm just gonna emphasize that. I don't give a crap. I have no more room in my life personally for natural counsel anymore. Okay, I really don't, unless it has something to do with business. All right, fine, I'm listening, I'm all ears. But as far as like things that are happening, because we're spiritual beings, we're spiritual beings having a natural experience. So therefore, it's like I need to have somebody in my ear constantly counseling me about this, that, and the third, because I don't know everything. Exactly. And that's the humble part about, this walk, is that you don't know everything. God knows you don't know everything. He knows the plans that he has for you, right? So therefore, wouldn't it be wise to seek out the one that knows everything there is to know about you, where it is that you're supposed to be, where it is that you're going? The ministry, the call of God on your life. Wouldn't it be wise to go to the author and the finisher of your faith? Yeah, come on now. That sounds pretty wise to me. Like, I don't know. Very. Like, if I'm sounding crazy, stop me. But like, that just makes all the sense, right? So yeah, it's just like with your testimony alone, it just goes to show you, like, it pays to just don't move so quick. Yeah. My biggest thing I even talk about, even with my fiance, is just like being patient. Patience is a virtue. I didn't even know what virtue meant till my dad told me about it. Virtue literally means, tell me about it. It means strength. Oh. I didn't know that. Virtue means strength. I didn't know that either. So when they talk about patience is a virtue, it literally means patience is a strength. Wow. So if you have patience, if you have very strong, good patience, you're very strong. Oh yeah. Because that means that you're just not moving just like off of impulses and just do this and just you know what, bump it. I'm just go out the door and just do whatever. Be patient. Things are gonna work out, all right? Because not everything is gonna be moving super duper quick. Yeah. It's like even with just like quitting my job, it's like I wasn't rich like immediately. Right. I had money. Like I was good for a time, but then once the brook dried up, I had to do just like Elijah and move on. I was like, all right, the brook then dried up. It's time for me to go. You know, because at the end of the day, wherever it was that I was at wasn't working, so I had to improvise. All right, I had to revise the business. What am I going to do? What's my standard? You know, who's my clientele? What exactly am I looking for? Right. And so like now, like what I do is I make content for businesses now. So now I'm making content for local businesses, you know, and so I have them on like a monthly retainer, you know, and that's just free game for anyone. That's just, I told you, like I called you immediately. I said, bro, once I found this out, I immediately was like, hey, bro, this is what we need to be doing, bro.
Yep, you sure did.
If you want monthly retainers, start making content for businesses. That's a bag and then some. It really is.
Okay.
You know, but do it because you love it. Don't do it
right,
because
don't do
it's
it
money.
just because it's money.
Okay, because they will find out. Okay, that this man is only here for money. Once the results don't show, you gotta go. Okay.
Yep.
But nonetheless, like the Lord gave me all these different ideas. He sent people to me to talk to me about what I should be doing or what I can be doing to improve this business. And so, in meeting and counseling with those type of people, again, like I said. The only patience that I have for natural counsels when it comes to business at this point, it really is. And so therefore I was listening to that, and you know, with that being what it is, I'm like, dang on, what month is this? August. I left my job back in late March.
Wow. So this year?
Yep. And I haven't gone back. I haven't had to. Literally, man, I'm telling you, God will sustain you for real.
Yes.
He really will. He will give you just enough to get by. You know, until eventually the overflow just comes. And, you know, as of right now, like I would consider myself in the overflow. Thank God. Thank you, Jesus. Because for a time I was like, man, Lord, I don't even know if this was for real, like what you want. Because it's so funny how like there will always be people that will try to tell you, consider getting a job. Just consider doing a little something. Yeah. Nah, dude, I gotta trust God.
Okay.
Like genuinely, like I want
like
to.
I become offended when people say that.
I try not to. I really try not to because I understand that they're not in the position that I'm in.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, it's like people. It's so easy for people on the outside to tell you what you should be doing. You know, you should probably consider going back and getting at something that has some healthcare benefits and things of that sort. And I'm like, man, I just got faith that God is gonna make a way.
That's all I got.
That you know, He gonna protect me. He gonna keep me healthy in such and such. But it's like I just want to trust God. Like that genuinely, that's the only reply I have. Is like I just want to trust God. You know, I really want to show other people too, like not because it's like not just because it's my testimony. It's my testimony for His glory,
right?
You know, I want to show people like this is what happens when you truly put your trust, put your faith in God and His promises on your life, because He has promises on everyone's life. He has promises on your life, my life, and everyone else's life. You know, He's faithful to those that diligently seek Him. So therefore, it's like, you know, He isn't. Again, it goes back to what I said earlier. Like we're not designed to fail.
Right.
You know, failure only happens when you don't pursue. That's the only time you fail. You will fall short, but you will never fail in your pursuit of success. Right. That's why even Olympic athletes, man, if just making it to the Olympics, even if you didn't get a medal, dude, you didn't fail.
Right. You got there.
You might have lost, but you didn't fail.
Right.
You only fail when you quit. When hardship comes and you say, you know what, I can't even do this. I can't sustain this. I can't endure. This race is not given to the swift nor the strong, but to those that endure to the end.
Come on now.
So if you're able to endure to the end, you are not a failure. That's my biggest thing that I can say, man. If I said nothing else today, this is all I wanted to say. You're not a failure unless you refuse to endure.
Come on now. And, a scripture that keep coming up was James 1 and 2. It was consider it great joy when we go through various trials, because we know that the testing of our faith produces endurance.
Yes.
That was the message all week, y'all. Like all week. Even the Bible app came up again. I said, Lord, you see me, you hear me. And like, I wanted to add too, like, even when I moved here, like, I have a friend, she asked me how many clients I have, you know, that I shoot a week.
Right.
And I said about maybe 3 to 4 a week. And she was like, so how are you able to pay your rent? I said, by the grace of God.
God's promises are yes and amen. So therefore.
Because like one thing about it too, like with my business, I'm rebranding. Right. So like, you know, I finally God helped me finally find out like what it was that I actually wanted to do, because with photography is cool, but I didn't have a why in it.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember
video,
we were talking about that.
we was talking about that, and it was like I feel like I was trying to force my why on something that I just dabble into because of just being around inspiration. Like, you know, I have friends that did photography, and I'm like, that looks cool. Like, you know, I want to try it out.
Right.
You know, business, like I did business and branding headshots and, you know, lifestyle photography, but it wasn't enough creativity for me. And the way that I put my effort into doing my video, that's what made me more happy.
Yeah.
And, you know, with just doing YouTube, and, you know, I even, you know, just find joy in storyboarding for other people, like even within the business, like, you know, just having that commercial type feel of like letting people be a part of what you're doing. Like, you know,
Absolutely.
and it's just like, that's my why. Like, you know, I want to help people be more authentic and not be so caged into having this this style of, or like this image, like everything is going right. Well, show your failures too. Like,
absolutely.
show how God like enters into the parts where you just feel like you're failing, and that, you know, you might have gotten the wrong product, or, you know, like people love to see what you're doing. YouTube is going to be there forever. Absolutely. At this point. Absolutely. And people watch people do stuff, like even the weirdest stuff, like you'll be very surprised. So once I found my why in that, it was very easy for me to be like, okay, let's get it. And like even just catering to my own stuff, like it's just editing in a different style, where I'm like, okay, yeah, like I want people to be engaged. So like, how can I edit in a way where people are going to be engaged the whole time? Absolutely. So it's like, you know, just perfecting my craft on myself before I even go out and, you know, play around with other people's stuff. But like one thing, like back to what you said, like hitting up these businesses, like I even have a goal to reach out to different businesses to create a storyboard for them where everything is already set. So it's like, hey, I've got an idea for you. Let's do it. I'll do it for, you know, I'm even offering to do it for free just to like, you know, get my portfolio. Start, right. Start my portfolio. But like, you know, just to get my feet wet, see what they want to do. So, that, and it's just like one thing about it with business and like just entrepreneurship in general, like you're going to have a time where you're going to keep rebranding until like you do what God wants you to do. Because I feel like I was just idolizing the photography so much that I wasn't letting God do his thing with me. Absolutely. So it was just like a lot of events where God kept sparking up my talent from my teenage years. Like I did skits, I did short films, I did all of that, and I enjoyed it. Like I even switched my culinary class because I thought I wanted to be a chef. I switched my culinary class to digital media, and I've just been around cameras ever since. So I was talking to a friend about this, like just neglecting our talent. Like I was like, wow, like I was really putting my video on the back burner because of one little experience that I let get in my head about, you know, it was just like an experience that I had let get in my head too much, and I had put it off.
They said your knees was ashy on the video. That was it. That was it. They said, you know what? I'm selling all my gear. Said, screw you guys.
So I gotta reinvest in myself. Like I think most of my video gear is either with my uncle or because he do videos. So I'm like, you can have this, like honestly. But I gotta reinvest in myself in those areas. So but that's just all that to say, like when God tells y'all to go, just be obedient. It's going to be scary, but you got to know, like, God is not going to leave you. Like, he's going to give you instructions as you are going. He's going to send people your way to let you know, that you're on the right track. And, even send you people that will give you an opportunity to step into where God is trying to have you to go. So it's like, just stay the course. Absolutely. It's scary, but like, just even if you need to eliminate all distractions fast so you can really clearly hear from God of like what he wants you to do. And once he give you that answer, and one thing about it too, stay quiet about it too.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Please, because it's like that's one thing I've learned. Like telling my business and telling what I'm going to do next
The wrong people.
To the wrong people, you're going to get people that's going to be like,
are you sure?
You sure?
I mean, and then that's gonna mess up your whole faith. You was confident as a mug and doing this, that, and the third. And again, like it goes back to what I was saying. Like I seek counsel when needed, you know. But to your point though, like yes, absolutely. Like if you feel so strongly about something, sometimes like God's told you about it, you don't have to don't tell the wrong people.
Don't tell the wrong people.
Please don't tell the wrong people, because all that ends up doing is delaying you again.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that wasn't God, you know. And even people that you trust, like you trust that this person got the Holy Spirit and whatnot on the inside. You know, even when it comes down to even just telling my own parents, it's like sometimes I just really just got to keep stuff close to my chest, because as much as I trust them and I trust that the Lord speaks through them, sometimes their human side kicks in. And they're just concerned for their son. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. It's not so much that they're, really being the pastors that I know that they are. I was just a concern for their son. Well, son, I mean, that sounds good, but are you sure that that's what you want to, like, how you got to plan this, that, and the third?
Right. Plan A, plan B, like, so that's like just all the accomplishments that I, then did. It was just like, I kept my mouth shut about it. Like my apartment, I didn't say anything until I got the acceptance letter. I told my mom, I literally gathered everybody in the living room, like, so I got approved for an apartment, and everybody's face was like, oh. Like, that's what I want. I don't want you to start telling me like, well, do you have enough money for this? No, I don't. But God is going to provide because he told me to move.
Absolutely.
So 100%. I just know that there's provision there. And, all these months, God has been providing. Even though there was a hiccup just recently, God is still with me. Like, if I just kept walking, if I would have stayed where I was, this place, I would have lost it. But I walked through the valley with no fear of evil. So, yeah, once the devil thought he had you,
boy,
it's a ha-ha moment. It's the last laugh moment. Like, I literally laughed today. Like, devil, you thought. So, yeah, y'all. So, is there anything else you want to add before we end?
The last thing I'll say is this. The revelation comes in the go. Like, one thing that I remember Jesus, when he healed like the group of lepers, the group of lepers, right? And then when he did, they came to him and said, Lord, would you have mercy on us and heal us? And, Jesus showed mercy to them and healed them. But then Jesus said, now go and show yourselves to the priests. Because you have to show, at that time, you have to show yourself to the priests. And they would say, oh, yeah, you guys are clean. You're good to go.
Yeah.
But their healing happened in their going.
Right.
Not when just Jesus like laid hands on. It happened while they were going.
Wow.
So it's in your go. The revelation that you're looking for is literally in your go. The healing that you're looking for is in your go. Not everything just happens from the moment I just lay hands on you. And, it doesn't always happen right then and there. It's in you. Show me that you truly believe. Because they weren't, the leprosy was still on them. All he did is tell them, go and show yourselves clean.
Wow.
And then by the time that they got there, the priest was like, oh, yeah, you guys are clean.
Wow.
So
the healing is in your go.
It's in your go. The revelation, the healing, whatever it is you're looking for, it is in your go. It's in your obedience. So be obedient to what it is the Lord has called you to do. Don't delay yourself. It is not always the enemy that is causing delay. It is sometimes, usually, you. All right, we try to blame Satan for all this, that, and the third. Satan, you can't have this, you can't have that.
Sometimes it's us.
It's literally you.
Sometimes it's us.
Sometimes it is literally you. You gotta really check yourself. I have had to acknowledge that for the last many years. Like, I failed on my own account, not because the devil came in and did anything.
Okay. Literally me. Like, this whole thing that I was in, that was me. That was a me problem.
Me. 100% me.
So what's him was the anxiety though.
Yes. Now that's him.
Yeah, that's him. It was definitely an anxiety and a worry. But yeah, so we hope that you got something from this, y'all. Write in the comments, like, tell a testimony. Like, what was the time that God told you to go that, you wasn't sure about what it was, or like, if you're in it right now, like, tell us your testimony. We would love for y'all to just encourage other people that's reading so they can have that courage to just do it and just to listen to God not off their own doing, but like, just to really have that ear from God of telling them to go.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next podcast. Bye.